Okay, the next group of problems, these are some order of operation problems, and the way you should work these is you need to show your work at each step. So let's go through this. So my first step is going to be to do what's in parentheses. So I'm going to add the -4 to the 5 first. So I have a -5 plus a -4 plus 5. That's going to be 1 squared. Now then I'm going to square the 1 because that would be the next step to do the exponents. 1 squared is 1. Now I have an addition step, a -5 plus 1, so my answer would be a -4. Moving to the next one, I have a multiplication, an addition, and subtraction. So let's write the order of operations out here. P, E, M, D. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to do the multiplication step first because it is here on the list where I do multiplication, division, left to right. So division or multiplication isn't necessarily, neither one of these is first if I'm on this level. It's whichever one occurs first in the problem. So I work from left to right. Sometimes it may be doing division first, sometimes it may be doing multiplication first. So in this case, I have an addition and subtraction and multiplication. So multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So we do 4 times 4. That's going to be 16. Plus 4 minus 6. The next step now would be either addition or subtraction. And we can see that they're on the same level. So we work from left to right. So on the left is the addition. So 16 plus 4 is 20. Minus 6. That's going to be 14. Moving to the next one, we have a multiplication, another multiplication, and a squaring. So I'm going to do the squaring first. So that would be 6 times 2. 2 squared is 4. Now I'm going to do the multiplication from left to right. So 6 times 2 is 12 times 4. 12 times 4 then is going to be 48. This next one, we have a bunch of operations and some parentheses, so I'm going to do these inner parentheses first. Parentheses are at the top of the list, and we'll do the inner ones first. So I have 8 minus 7 minus 4 is 3. And that would be divided by 6 minus 1. Okay, now I still have parentheses, so let's work this parentheses. 8 minus 3 is 5. And we can't do the division yet. Because we still have a parentheses here, and we have 6 minus 1, well that's 5 also. So I have 5 minus 5, that's going to be 1. Okay, the next problem, what we have here is we have a -3 squared. So basically what that is taking a negative of 3 squared. We're going to do the squaring before we apply the negative. A negative is like a -1. So this would be 3 squared is 9, so that's a -9. Over here, I have a negative of 2 cubed. So that would be like taking a negative of 2 times 2 times 2, and that would be a -8. Now just to note, let's go back and work another one like this. If I wanted to have a -3 squared where the whole -3 is squared, it would have to look like this, and that's going to be 9 then, because that would be a -3 times a -3. And over here, if I had something that looks like this, a -2 cubed, so I'm actually cubing a -2, that would be a -2 times a -2 times a -2, that would still equal a -8. Moving on to the next group of problems, I have some fractions. So let's work those. Now we're going to work order of operations here also. Now you cannot get rid of the denominators unless there's an equal to sign. These are expressions. They do not have an equal to sign. So the only way I'm going to be able to simplify this is multiplying individual terms by 1, like in the form of something that will give me a common denominator, so that they can be added together. So let's go ahead and start this. So this is going to be 5/3. I'm going to change anything that's an a mixed number into an improper fraction. So that would be 3 times 1 is 3 plus 4 is 4/3. Okay, so now I'm going to do the parentheses first. So I have 5/3 divided by, and I have 4 plus 1/3, right? So this is a common denominator, so the numerators add. That would be divided by 5/3. And of course, anything divided by itself, 5/3 divided by 5/3, we don't even have to think about that. That's going to be 1. Let's move to the next problem. We have 2/3, and I'm going to convert 2 to a improper fraction, and divided by 2 times 1 is 2, divided by 3/2. So we have multiplication and division there at the same level, so we're going to work left to right. So 2/3 times 2 over 1, the numerators multiply. And then I have divided by. So divided by the 3/2. Now when I divide fractions, what I'm actually going to do is take the second number and change it to multiplication right here, and take the second number and take the reciprocal of the second number. And I explained earlier in the year why we do that. So now numerators multiplied is 4 times 2 is 8. Denominators multiplied 3 times 3 is 9. So I would have 8/9. Next problem. We have a subtraction and a multiplication. We will do the multiplication first, but let's first make sure everything is an improper fraction, that there's no mixed numbers. So that would be times 14. 5 times 2 is 10, 14 over 5. So we're going to do this multiplication step first. So 1 times 14 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I have to give these a common denominator. And what I said earlier is that I can multiply any one of these individual terms by 1 in some form to give a common denominator. So what that's going to be is if I take the 8/5 and I want to give it a common denominator of 10, I'm going to take it times 2 over 2. Of course, I still have minus 14/10. And so all I'm really doing is taking 8/5 times 1. It's going to change the way it looks, but it's not going to change its value. So anyway, 8 times 2 is 16/10 minus 14/10. So they have a common denominator, so the numerators subtract. 16 minus 14 is 2/10. Let's reduce that. That would be 1/5. And let's circle the answer. Okay, the next one is the only way we can, this is what is not, you cannot do. You cannot take this 5 and divide it into the 10 and get 2. You cannot do that. If it does, it would have to divide into the y also. And let's see why that's true. Because if I think of this, this is 10 over 5 plus y over 5. Okay, 10 over 5, yeah, that's 2, but I still have y over 5. So you cannot just divide the 5 into the 10. To do that, you would have to factor something out, and we'll do that on the next problem. So actually, this problem is as simple as it can get. If you would express it like this, like we did here, so this would be a correct answer, just leaving it like it is. And if I wanted to split it up and say 2 plus y over 5, well, I'll count that also. Either one of those are correct answers. Okay, the next problem, the way I would work this is I would say, wait, I could factor a 10 out of the numerator. So that would be 10 times x plus 1 all over 2. Now in this case, I can cancel. I can take the 2 and divide it into the 10 because the 10 is multiplied by this whole term. It's the same thing as saying something like 2 times 3 divided by 2. Yeah, those two can cancel. That's equal to 3. So I can do it as long as I pull a common factor out and multiply it by like the x plus 1. So if I do this, I would have 5 times x plus 1, which would be 5x plus 5. And another way we could see that is let's split this fraction up so that's 10x over 2 plus 10 over 2. Okay, now this is 10x over 2. That's 5 times x, and 10 over 2 is 5. So you can see it's 5x plus 5. So two ways that I did it, I pulled out a common factor, or I split it up, and you can see how it reduces. And I think that's probably it for this page. So let's stop it and start a next page with a fresh video.